Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when the waiting has to end. Waiting for someone to believe in you. Waiting for the perfect opportunity. Waiting for more money. Waiting for better circumstances. Waiting for motivation. And one day you discover something that changes everything. Nobody is coming. The moment you decide that your life is your responsibility, everything begins to change. Until then, it is easy to believe that your future depends on someone else. You might think you need the right mentor, a better boss, more supportive friends, a wealthier family, or perfect circumstances before you can finally move forward. But the truth is that waiting places your future in someone else's hands. Every day spent hoping that another person will solve your problems is a day you surrender control over your own direction. Responsibility is not about blaming yourself for everything that has happened. Life is unpredictable. Some people begin with advantages, while others begin with obstacles. Some experience opportunities early, while others must create them from nothing. You cannot always choose what happens to you, but you can always choose what you do next. That choice is where your power begins. Many people spend years explaining why they cannot succeed. They point to the economy, their education, their age, their background, or the mistakes of others. Those explanations may contain truth, but explanations alone never improve a life. A reason may help you understand where you are, but it cannot carry you to where you want to be. Progress starts when you stop asking, "Who is responsible for my situation?" and begin asking, "What can I do today to improve it?" There is something remarkably empowering about accepting ownership. Instead of waiting for permission, you give yourself permission to begin. Instead of hoping someone notices your potential, you start developing it. Instead of wishing for a better future, you begin building one through daily decisions. This shift may seem small, but it changes the way you approach every challenge. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is acted upon and start seeing yourself as someone who can act. The most successful people are rarely those who had the easiest path. More often, they are the ones who accepted responsibility long before they saw results. They understood that every skill could be learned, every weakness could be improved, and every setback could become a lesson if they were willing to do the work. They did not wait for confidence before taking action. They acted first, and confidence grew from keeping promises to themselves. Ownership also changes the way you respond to failure. Instead of looking for someone to blame, you look for something to learn. Every mistake becomes feedback instead of defeat. Every disappointment becomes an opportunity to improve your approach. This mindset keeps you moving forward because your energy is invested in solutions rather than excuses. Your future is shaped far more by the decisions you make than by the circumstances you face. The choice to wake up earlier, to learn a new skill, to finish what you started, to honor your commitments, and to keep going when progress feels slow, those decisions belong to no one else. They are yours. The day you fully accept that truth is the day you stop waiting for life to change and begin changing your life through your own actions, one decision at a time. One of the greatest obstacles to progress is the belief that everything must be perfect before you begin. Many people convince themselves that they will take action once they have more time, more money, better connections, greater confidence, or the ideal opportunity. They spend months, sometimes years, preparing to start instead of actually starting. The problem with waiting for perfect conditions is that they rarely arrive. Life is constantly changing, challenges continue to appear, and there will always be another reason to postpone the work that truly matters. Think about how many dreams have remained unfinished simply because someone believed the timing was wrong. A person delays starting a business because the economy seems uncertain. Another postpones learning a new skill because work is too demanding. Someone else waits to improve their health until life becomes less busy. Yet tomorrow often looks exactly like today, and the waiting quietly becomes a habit. Before long, opportunities pass by while potential remains untouched. Progress has never belonged to those who waited for certainty. It belongs to those who learn to move despite uncertainty. Every worthwhile journey begins before all the answers are available. You do not need to see the entire path before taking the first step. You only need enough courage to move forward with what you know today. Each step reveals the next one, and clarity often comes through action rather than endless planning. The people who achieve meaningful success are rarely handed ideal circumstances. They begin with limited resources, imperfect knowledge, and plenty of unanswered questions. They make mistakes, adjust their approach, learn from experience, and keep improving. Their willingness to begin before feeling completely ready becomes one of their greatest advantages. While others are still waiting for confidence, they are gaining experience. While others are searching for guarantees, they are building skills that no classroom or book alone can provide. There is also a hidden danger in perfectionism. It often disguises itself as high standards, but beneath the surface it can become fear. Fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of looking inexperienced. Instead of admitting those fears, people tell themselves they are simply waiting for a better moment. Yet every accomplished individual was once a beginner. Every expert produced imperfect work before producing exceptional work. Excellence is not the starting point, it is the result of consistent practice over time. Imagine a farmer refusing to plant seeds because the weather forecast is not perfect. If he waits for flawless conditions, the planting season will pass and there will be nothing to harvest. Success works much the same way. You plant through effort, consistency, and persistence, even when circumstances are less than ideal. Some days will be difficult, some results will disappoint you, but every action moves you closer to growth than standing still ever could. Your current situation may not be exactly what you hoped for, but it is still a place from which you can begin. Start with the knowledge you possess, the resources you have, and the opportunities already in front of you. Improve as you go. Learn from each experience. Build momentum through consistent action. The perfect moment is not something you discover. It is something you create by deciding that today is good enough to take the first step. Many people spend their lives waiting to feel motivated before they begin. They believe that one morning they will wake up energized, inspired, and completely ready to tackle every challenge. When that feeling doesn't arrive, they postpone their goals for another day. The problem is that motivation is unpredictable. It rises and falls with your emotions, your circumstances, and even your level of rest. If your success depends entirely on motivation, then your progress will always be inconsistent. The people who accomplish extraordinary things understand a different principle. Discipline is far more reliable than motivation. Discipline means doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like doing it or not. It is keeping the promises you make to yourself even when no one is watching. It is choosing long-term rewards over short-term comfort. While motivation asks, do I feel like it today? Discipline asks, what is the right thing to do today? That single difference separates people who make occasional progress from those who create lasting results. Every meaningful achievement is built on repeated actions that are often ordinary and sometimes boring. Reading a few pages every day may not seem exciting, but over time it can fill your mind with knowledge that changes your future. Exercising regularly may not produce immediate results, but month after month it builds strength, health, and confidence. Saving a small amount of money each week may appear insignificant, yet those consistent choices eventually create financial stability. Great accomplishments rarely come from one dramatic effort. They grow from simple disciplines practiced with remarkable consistency. One of the greatest misunderstandings about successful people is the belief that they are always motivated. In reality, they experience the same doubts, frustrations, and moments of fatigue as everyone else. The difference is that they do not allow those feelings to determine their actions. They have trained themselves to continue working regardless of their emotions. They understand that feelings are temporary, but habits shape a lifetime. Discipline also creates freedom, even though many people think it limits them. A disciplined student gains the freedom that comes with knowledge. A disciplined professional earns opportunities that others miss. A disciplined saver enjoys financial choices that constant spending cannot provide. Every discipline you practice today expands your possibilities tomorrow. The temporary discomfort of self-control often leads to lasting rewards that far outweigh the effort required. Developing discipline does not require dramatic changes overnight. It begins with small promises that you consistently keep. Wake up when you said you would. Finish the task you started. Read even when it is only for a few minutes. Complete the workout even if it is shorter than planned. These small victories strengthen your character because each one reinforces the belief that your actions are not controlled by your moods. As discipline grows, confidence naturally follows. You begin trusting yourself because you know you will do what you said you would do. That trust becomes one of your greatest assets. Challenges no longer seem impossible because you have developed the habit of responding with action instead of excuses. Over time, discipline transforms from something you force yourself to practice into part of who you are. When that happens, success is no longer dependent on fleeting inspiration. It becomes the natural result of a life built on consistency, commitment, and the daily decision to act regardless of how you feel. Excuses have a strange way of sounding reasonable. They often arrive dressed as logic, caution, or fairness. They tell you that you are too busy, too tired, too young, too old, too inexperienced, or too late. They whisper that your circumstances are different, that your challenges are greater, or that your opportunity has not yet arrived. The more often you listen to these explanations, the more convincing they become. Before long, excuses stop being occasional thoughts and become permanent beliefs that quietly shape the direction of your life. The danger of excuses is not that they are always false. Sometimes they are based on real difficulties. Life can be unfair. Resources may be limited. Responsibilities can be overwhelming. Unexpected setbacks happen to everyone. But while an excuse may explain why something is difficult, it never brings you closer to achieving your goal. It may comfort you for a moment, but comfort without action eventually turns into regret. Every person has reasons to stop. Every person faces obstacles that test their commitment. The difference between those who move forward and those who remain stuck is not the absence of problems. It is the decision to act despite those problems. Successful people do not spend their energy proving why something cannot be done. They ask a different question. Given the situation I have, what is the next step I can take? That simple shift in thinking transforms obstacles from walls into challenges that can be worked through one step at a time. Excuses also carry a hidden cost. Each time you make one, you weaken the habit of personal responsibility. You teach yourself that outside circumstances have more control over your future than your own decisions. Over time, this way of thinking becomes dangerous because it removes your sense of influence. When you believe someone else is responsible for your progress, you begin waiting instead of working. Days become weeks, weeks become months, and opportunities quietly pass by while you continue searching for reasons instead of solutions. Replacing excuses with action does not require perfect confidence. It requires honesty. Be honest about what you want. Be honest about what is holding you back. Most importantly, be honest about the choices you are making every day. Sometimes the greatest obstacle is not a lack of opportunity, but a lack of consistent effort. It is easier to say there is no time than to admit that time is being spent on distractions. It is easier to blame circumstances than to recognize that discipline has been neglected. Honest self-examination may be uncomfortable, but it opens the door to meaningful change. The moment you stop defending your excuses, you create space for progress. Instead of saying, "I can't because," begin asking, "How can I?" That single question directs your mind toward possibilities instead of limitations. You begin noticing resources you overlooked, people who can teach you, skills you can develop, and opportunities that were always there, but hidden beneath a mindset of hesitation. Your future is not determined by the number of obstacles you face, but by the number of excuses you refuse to accept. Every day presents a choice. You can protect your excuses, or you can protect your dreams. You cannot hold on to both for long. One will always replace the other. The people who build meaningful lives are not those with the fewest difficulties. They are the ones who decide that no excuse, however reasonable it may sound, is powerful enough to keep them from taking the next step. One of the greatest investments you will ever make is not in the stock market, real estate, or a business. It is the investment you make in yourself. Money can be lost, opportunities can disappear, and circumstances can change overnight. But what you learn, the skills you develop, and the character you build become assets that stay with you wherever you go. Your future is closely connected to the person you are becoming, which is why personal growth should never be treated as an occasional activity. It should become a lifelong commitment. Many people want better results, but they continue living with the same habits, the same thinking, and the same level of knowledge. They expect change without changing themselves. Yet life has a simple pattern. As your value grows, your opportunities often grow with it. When you improve your communication, people listen differently. When you strengthen your skills, new doors begin to open. When you develop wisdom and discipline, better decisions naturally follow. External success usually reflects internal growth. Learning should never end when school ends. Education gives you a foundation, but self-education allows you to continue building throughout your life. Every book you read, every meaningful conversation you have, every lesson you learn from experience adds another layer to your understanding. The most successful people remain curious. They never assume they know everything. Instead, they keep asking questions, searching for better ideas, and refining their approach. Growth also requires humility. There is always something you do not know, a skill you have not mastered, or a weakness that needs attention. Pride resists correction, but wisdom welcomes it. The person who accepts constructive feedback grows much faster than the person who becomes defensive whenever mistakes are exposed. Improvement begins the moment you become willing to learn from both your successes and your failures. Developing yourself is not limited to gaining knowledge. It also means strengthening your habits, improving your attitude, managing your emotions, and building integrity. Knowledge without discipline produces little value. Talent without character rarely leads to lasting success. The goal is not simply to become more informed, but to become more dependable, more capable, and more prepared for greater responsibilities. Daily improvement often appears small and insignificant. Reading 10 pages a day may not seem life-changing. Practicing a skill for 30 minutes may feel ordinary. Listening carefully instead of speaking impulsively may go unnoticed. Yet these simple actions accumulate over time. Months from now, the person who consistently invested in learning will possess knowledge that others never gained. Years from now, those quiet daily choices may create opportunities that seem sudden to everyone else, even though they were built patiently over a long period. Your environment also influences your growth. Spend time with people who encourage excellence, challenge your thinking, and inspire you to become better. Conversations shape beliefs, beliefs influence decisions, and decisions determine direction. Choose influences that stretch your vision rather than limit it. Be intentional about what you read, what you watch, and whose advice you follow, because your mind grows in the direction of what you consistently feed it. Every day offers an opportunity to become slightly wiser, slightly stronger, and slightly more valuable than you were yesterday. Those small improvements may not attract immediate attention, but over time they create remarkable transformation. The person you become through continuous learning, disciplined practice, and steady personal development is the foundation upon which every lasting achievement is built. Dreams are important, goals are necessary, and plans have their place, but none of them can replace action. A dream without action remains a wish. A goal without action becomes a good intention. A plan without action is nothing more than words on paper. The bridge between where you are today and where you want to be is built through consistent action. Not occasional effort, not bursts of enthusiasm, but the steady willingness to keep moving forward day after day. Many people overestimate what they can accomplish in a single week and underestimate what they can accomplish in a single year. They expect immediate results, and when those results fail to appear, they become discouraged. They assume their efforts are not working, so they stop. What they fail to understand is that success often grows quietly beneath the surface long before it becomes visible. Just as a seed spends time developing roots before breaking through the soil, meaningful progress usually happens long before anyone can see it. Consistency is powerful because it allows small actions to accumulate into extraordinary results. Reading 10 pages every day may not seem impressive, but over the course of a year, it adds up to thousands of pages and dozens of completed books. Saving a small amount of money each week may appear insignificant, yet over time it becomes a meaningful financial foundation. Practicing a skill for an hour each day may feel ordinary, but months of focused practice can transform a beginner into someone with remarkable ability. The individual actions may seem small, but together they create momentum that is impossible to ignore. One of the greatest mistakes people make is waiting until they feel like taking action. They allow their emotions to determine their productivity. Some days they work hard because they are excited, while other days they accomplish very little because they are not inspired. This pattern produces inconsistent results because feelings are always changing. Consistency requires a different mindset. It means deciding that your commitment is stronger than your emotions. You do the work because it matters, not because you happen to be in the mood. Progress also demands patience. In a world that celebrates overnight success, it is easy to become frustrated when growth seems slow. Yet many of the greatest achievements are built through years of unseen effort. People often notice the final victory, while overlooking the countless mornings of preparation, the repeated practice, the failures that taught valuable lessons, and the ordinary days when someone simply refused to quit. The visible success is only the final chapter of a much longer story. Every action you take shapes your future in ways that are not always immediately obvious. Each positive habit strengthens your character. Each completed task increases your confidence. Each promise you keep to yourself builds trust in your own abilities. These small victories create momentum, and momentum has a remarkable way of making difficult tasks feel easier over time. Once you establish a pattern of consistent action, progress begins to feel natural rather than forced. Do not become discouraged by small beginnings or slow results. Measure your success by your commitment to the process rather than your desire for instant rewards. Keep showing up. Keep learning. Keep improving. There will be days when progress seems invisible, but invisible progress is still progress. Every disciplined action, no matter how small it appears, moves you closer to the life you are trying to build. In the end, extraordinary success is rarely the result of one remarkable effort. It is almost always the product of ordinary actions repeated with extraordinary consistency. Every worthwhile journey will test your strength. There will be moments when your plans fail, your confidence is shaken, and your progress feels painfully slow. You will experience disappointment, criticism, rejection, and unexpected setbacks. These moments are not signs that you should quit. They are part of the process of becoming stronger. The people who achieve lasting success are not those who avoid difficulties, but those who develop the resilience to keep moving through them. Life has a way of asking difficult questions, and your answers are found not in your words, but in your actions. What will you do when the results you expected do not appear? What will you do when people doubt your ability or refuse to support your vision? What will you do when your hard work seems unnoticed? Your response to these moments reveals your character far more than your response to easy victories. Anyone can remain positive when everything is going well. It takes real strength to maintain hope and discipline when circumstances become challenging. Resilience begins with accepting that setbacks are temporary. Failure is an event, not an identity. A disappointing result does not mean you are a disappointment. A mistake does not define your future unless you allow it to become the final chapter of your story. Every successful person has collected failures along the way, but they treated each one as a lesson instead of a life sentence. They asked, "What can this experience teach me?" rather than, "Why did this happen to me?" That simple shift transforms adversity into education. Criticism is another challenge that tests resilience. No matter what you pursue, someone will question your decisions, your methods, or your ambitions. If you allow every opinion to determine your direction, you will spend your life trying to satisfy people who were never responsible for your future. Listen carefully to constructive advice because it can help you improve, but do not let negative voices silence your purpose. Every meaningful achievement has faced doubt before it earned respect. Loneliness can also become part of the journey. There may be seasons when few people understand what you are trying to accomplish. Some friends may lose interest, others may not share your vision, and support may be limited. Those moments can be discouraging if you depend entirely on external encouragement. Learn to become your own source of determination. Continue preparing, learning, and working even when applause is absent. Character is often built in quiet seasons before success becomes visible. Mental resilience is strengthened through daily choices. Each time you refuse to quit after a setback, you become stronger. Each time you face a difficult conversation instead of avoiding it, your confidence grows. Each time you continue despite fear or uncertainty, you prove to yourself that challenges do not control you. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that your purpose matters more than your fear. Remember that storms do not last forever, but the strength you gain by enduring them often remains for a lifetime. Every obstacle you overcome prepares you for a greater responsibility. Every challenge develops qualities that comfort never could. When you refuse to give up, refuse to surrender to discouragement, and refuse to let temporary defeats define your future, you become the kind of person who can withstand pressure without losing direction. That resilience becomes one of your greatest advantages, carrying you forward long after talent alone would have given up. Many people spend their lives waiting for an opportunity, that never seems to arrive. They hope someone will recognize their talent, offer them the perfect position, introduce them to the right people, or give them the chance they have been dreaming about. While there is nothing wrong with accepting opportunities when they come, it is dangerous to build your future around waiting. The people who make the greatest impact are often those who stop waiting for opportunities and begin creating them. Opportunity rarely announces itself with certainty. More often, it disguises itself as extra effort, additional responsibility, or work that others are unwilling to do. It appears in moments when you decide to learn a skill without being asked, solve a problem that no one assigned to you, or take initiative when everyone else is standing still. These actions may seem small at first, but they quietly separate those who lead from those who merely follow. The first opportunity you must create is the opportunity to become more valuable. Before asking why better doors have not opened, ask whether you have become the kind of person who is prepared to walk through them. Success often follows preparation. The more knowledge you gain, the more skills you develop, and the more dependable you become, the more opportunities naturally begin to appear. People are drawn to individuals who consistently deliver value, solve problems, and keep their commitments. Initiative is one of the rarest qualities in any field. Most people wait for instructions. They wait to be told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Yet those who rise above the ordinary look for ways to contribute before anyone asks. They identify needs, offer solutions, and take action without constant supervision. That attitude earns trust, and trust creates opportunities that talent alone cannot secure. There will be times when your efforts seem unnoticed. You may work hard without immediate recognition. You may improve your abilities while others appear to move ahead more quickly. Do not allow temporary silence to discourage you. Seeds grow beneath the soil long before anyone sees the first signs of life. In the same way, your preparation is creating possibilities, even when results are not yet visible. Continue developing yourself, because when opportunity finally arrives, it often favors those who have been quietly preparing all along. Creating opportunities also requires courage. You may need to introduce yourself to people you admire, volunteer for difficult assignments, begin a project with no guarantee of success, or step into unfamiliar situations where you feel uncertain. Growth has always required the willingness to leave what is comfortable. Every significant achievement begins with someone deciding that the risk of trying is smaller than the regret of never beginning. Never assume that your circumstances determine your future. History is filled with people who began with limited resources, few advantages, and countless obstacles. Yet they built remarkable lives because they refused to let their starting point define their destination. They learned continuously, worked consistently, and remained prepared when chances appeared. Instead of waiting for life to hand them a better future, they built one through initiative, persistence, and personal growth. The greatest opportunities are often not the ones you find. They are the ones you create through the choices you make every single day, even when no one is watching.